Hi, it's Katie Araujo. I'm from Body Centered Living, and I'll be teaching a morning intensive at Lotus Healing Centre in Essendon. It's coming up on the 20th to the 24th of January, so Monday to Friday, each morning from 6 a.m. till 7:15 a.m. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit today about one of the techniques that we'll be using. We begin the intensive talking about getting a picture of our bodies, the way that the body is structured, the way the body moves in space, sensation and perception. So really just checking in that we all have certain maps or pictures that we use to see our own bodies. There's a lovely diagram which is that right here at the very core is where we live. This is where we feel from, so heart and belly, this section here. And then we've got arms and legs coming out of this place that we seem to really reside in. And the arms and legs are known as our organs of action. So that's where we kind of then impact upon the world. And at the very end of arms and legs, we have hands and feet, and they are sensory. So they're sensing the external world. In the same way that our eyes see the world, our nose smells the world, our mouth tastes the world. So on the periphery, hands and feet, get a little closer to the center, arms and legs, they are our action in the world, help us to do things, achieve things, to move through the world, and move through space. And then the very center is where we feel from. This is where we feel hunger, this is where we feel fear, this is where we feel love. So it can be nice to see the body in that way. Another way that we can feel about our bodies, or perceive our bodies, is as a channel between heaven, the skies above, all the space around us, and earth, which is very definite, supportive and clear. The earth doesn't shift around and move or vanish and disappear. It's stable and it's steady. That's our base. And when we see ourselves as a channel of energy between these two polar opposites, earth, stable, steady, reliable, space, open, expansive, endless, then we start to see that we can create a relationship between those two polar opposites. Sometimes in our life we feel that the downward pull of energy is really heavy and we can feel very stuck. That can show in our posture, when the energy starts to sink down and the chest sinks and the shoulders roll and we start to feel squashed and heavy and compacted. Other times in our life, or other people have a certain nature, and that could be that expansive, moving, open, moving into different spaces, not really able to stay steady and on one track. And so we can see how these two polar opposites actually give us an opportunity to meet them in the middle. As we're a channel of energy, we can actually have grounding from below and a feeling of upliftment. Those two together make such a beautiful combination within us, within our spine, within our posture, and they really do help us to feel tension dissolve and stress disappear. So then once we've got a good picture of what is our body in space, what is our body, how do we feel, where do we act, how do we sense, how are we responding in this world through our body? Once we've got a good picture of those things, then I will be teaching a 3-step process to help transform, to help in total transformation. if ever we feel stuck, if ever there's unnecessary suffering. And that suffering could be just little stresses through the day, someone you deal with at work. It could be just sick of being tired. It could be really serious things like dealing with grief and loss. It could be to do with needing to shift so that you can forgive and move forward. Total transformation is actually much closer to us than the words might inspire. Often people think, oh, that's about like totally changing your body image. And it's not about moving from one state to another in terms of moving from having an unfit body to a fit body, or those kind of changes that are not deep and close. You know, going from not having much money to lots of money, or we don't want to get sucked into surface level things. The kind of change that this technique is for deep internal change and change that happens in the moment. So it's very real and very felt. So the first step is to adjust the posture. Again, remind yourself that you are between heaven and earth, and those two opposing forces can have a friendly relationship through you instead of pushing and pulling. To adjust your posture creates that sense of ease. It stops you from being stuck, so it can free the ego, which I discussed in a previous message. So a posture could be a frown that you constantly have, or shoulders that are lifted up, or a clenched fist that you're able to then let go of in that moment. Not later on, not in the future, just in this moment to transform it. Then once the posture is adjusted, the next step, step number 2 of the 3 steps, is to adjust the breath. To feel the breath. Notice if it needs a little adjusting. You might feel, oh, I really need to exhale a little more clearly, or oh, I'd like a nice full inhalation. That will change everything. My whole perception, my whole way of sensing what's going on in this moment. And finally, getting even subtler, the third step is to adjust the attitude, to adjust the thinking. So we adjust our posture, we adjust our breath, and by that time already the attitude's normally changed. But then we finally resolve the attitude that we're hoping to move towards that creates freedom from suffering in the moment. It's not, well, it is profound. I'm saying it's not profound. It is deeply profound for us when we go through those steps. But it's not about external change or show-offy change. It's keep it close, keep it real. And that's what I'm offering in my workshop. So total transformation, I hope you now have a bit more of an idea about what that might mean. And it means in your life, in this moment, transforming daily experience. So it's really accessible, really practical. Come along to my workshop. You are welcome. So it's at the Lotus Healing Centre in Essendon from Monday to Friday, 20th of Jan to the 24th of Jan, 6 a.m. to 7:15 a.m. I hope that you can contact me and